Wow, just unbelievable. A wedge tornado, of course, as a reminder, is as wide as it is tall. And that particular tornado, looking at that, was a half a mile wide. It's been reported that it was that big. But what I find also fascinating is the mesocyclone, the actual rotating part of the supercell, was also massive, and then a massive wedge. So we'll continue to keep a close eye on the National Weather Service's assessment of the tornado and what it will actually be rated as. Meanwhile, the cold front pushes east.
Yeah, exactly. So we're looking at the radar right now, and clearly we can see we've got snow. In pink are the mixing areas, snow in northern Ontario, and then the rain, and obviously the pretty well-defined front that's coming through down into the U.S. When we look at Thank you very much, Deb. Yes, we have a building ridge going on across Western Canada, and that's why we see that nice surge of warmth. Despite the wind, it is definitely very warm. The cold front does come through, and along that, there is the potential of some rumbles of thunder and likely a few showers coming with that as well. It's likely to have come from a tanker. We're going to take a look at what's going on with our rainfall here. We've got rain along the coast, and there will be rain likely right through Monday. So we're not seeing much in the way of breaks, some breaks from time to time, but as we can see, it is a wet pattern underway. We're also going to have some lower snow levels in the BC interior, and that will likely result in some snowfall for the mountain passes, like the Coquihalla, like the Allison Pass, even for places like Rogers Pass. So we've got to watch for that. Through Saturday, rainfall totals, West Vancouver Island and up into the central north coast areas. Potential for some snow and some mixing on the front side of that warm front. But by the afternoon, we're going to be seeing showers and rainfall throughout most of the Maritimes. Newfoundland, not really much into it at this point this afternoon, but it will be traveling through and bringing the warm air with it. In southern Ontario, some slightly cooler air building in behind the low, where we've had snow in northern Ontario and ending as snow, possibly in Ottawa and Montreal. Not long, but it is cold enough to support that. Then we have high pressure building in and actually looking at some nice clear skies Saturday. It is a westerly wind, Rachel, that's pretty powerful, no question. We're going to see it easing through the mid to late evening and overnight as we see some pretty decent conditions setting up for Saturday, albeit just a tad cooler than what we've been experiencing. The heat has been across the prairies. Look at Saturday's forecast.
All right, great advice from our own storm hunter. I'm meteorologist Jacqueline Woodall, and joining me is Sheryl Plouffe. Windy, gusty, breezy, you name it. We got it all in Ontario today. See you later, snow. Yeah. Don't let the door kick you on the way out, right, Sheryl? Tale of two temperatures. We're finished with it. We're ready.
I love it.
Yeah, we're ready for spring, right?
Right, we are. Sustained winds this afternoon. We've got our low pressure system coming through, and it's actually going to result in some very gusty conditions here through the Cabot Strait. We have wind warnings in place. That low tracks away. The winds ease somewhat here in Ontario as the high pressure builds in, but for the time being, we still have some windy conditions.
Absolutely. You know who's probably really done with snow is Nate Coleman. We're going to report from him in just a second. We have windy conditions along the Erie shoreline, even the Ontario shoreline up through Picton, eastern Ontario, Port Colborne. We could see winds as strong as about 90 kilometers an hour today.
Yes, and that low pressure, and this is all behind the low pressure system. So you can see that it's also drawing in some colder air in place. It is going to feel noticeably cooler as we head into Saturday. As mentioned, let's go over to Nate and find out what's happening with him. All right, thanks so much, Nate. We're going to look forward to that for sure. We've got our system moving through. I want to mention that ahead of that front, some snow, some freezing rain, and then it changes over to showers and as we get into the warm sector of the low, and then everything eases away on Saturday evening for the Maritimes and for Newfoundland.
Let's talk about the rain and the lowering of our freezing levels that are going to be happening over the next coming days, late in the ski season, but might be getting some ski, so we talk a lot about high elevation snow, but it's going to be cold enough to support it at the valley level. All I have to do is show you that. Look at the return of the blue color. How many days, how many weeks have we seen a lot of the warm air out west, but all good things, Sheryl, as we know, must come to an end.
Good job. Thank you very much for that, Michelle. We do have some warnings in place for Atlantic Canada, including the rainfall warning for the south side of Newfoundland in the South Avalon and for the Burin. There's not actually that much snow on the ground in this particular area, but there's a lot more snow in this region here. So we have some rainfall warnings in place, which might not bode well, but there's less population there. And then Stephenville, we've got wind warnings, same for Les Sweats, ahead of the warm front. Once the warm front comes in through the afternoon, all of this or most of this is expected to change over to rain and showers, and then the precipitation starts to move in through the evening and through the overnight for Newfoundland. We can see here initially starting off in the freezing snow, or rather freezing rain and snow, and then back into the rainfall. Let's see some rain, snow, but we don't have any warnings necessarily in Quebec or in Montreal. All the active weather is further to the north, and the warnings there you saw in New Brunswick, the Gaspé, and then we continue with those winter storm warnings up into the Saguenay River region of Quebec and near Lac Saint-Jean. Northern Ontario, snowfall here has been actually pretty excessive, 10 to 20 centimeters of snow in a line from James Bay down into Wawa. So that is improving. But again, on the backside of that, even for Ottawa and Montreal, wouldn't be surprised to see some rain and some snow mixing in as that system departs. In terms of the impact on our temperatures, it does bring our temps down a little bit here for Ontario through the morning, but then it does surge again. So it's not looking like a big spell of cool air in place, which will bode well for most who want to see some spring-like weather coming through. So overall, this is not too bad a pattern. Not expecting to have any major issues this spring in southern Manitoba. Look at the temperatures this afternoon. 12 degrees in Winnipeg, 18 in Regina, and still in the mid-teens for Alberta. High teens in some cases here, like in Vancouver, seeing only about, say, 15, 20 millimeters of rain. The bigger rains will be had further north on the coast. And I mentioned that the cooler temperatures may result in some snowfall for the southern mountain passes in BC this weekend.